We know you like talking Star Wars. We like talking Star Wars. So that's exactly what we're going to do. This is The Wars and More.
There's something satisfying about when you spend a bunch of time talking about stuff and it actually comes true. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I don't know how many times talking Star Wars over the years we talk about something at great length, and it just never happens.
Right. Yeah. All the possibilities. But hey, I guess this time we got it, didn't we?
Yeah, it's funny because casting rumors are always funny, but I guess The Mandalorian is getting close enough to its release at this point that rumors are going to start to be more and more true.
Right.
It's typically like with episode 9, we're going to talk about a casting rumor later on that who knows, and it's a cameo kind of deal probably.
Right.
But casting rumors are always funny because you always hear about this person was seen at this studio, so they must be in this movie or they must be in this TV series or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
But when it comes to The Mandalorian, pretty much every casting rumor we've talked about is true.
Yeah.
And of course, what we're talking about is Pedro Pascal. He's been cast in the title role,
right?
And literally everybody on this list, Gina Carano, she's confirmed, and this is from Lucasfilm.
Yeah, exactly.
Was this Giancarlo Esposito? Emily Swallow was in Supernatural. Carl Weathers. Hell yeah.
Right.
Omid Abtahi. Werner Herzog and Nick Nolte.
Heck yeah. Sounds like this is going to be, they got a good crew together, it sounds like, so anxiously awaiting next year so we can see this after the Disney Plus service.
Yeah, and
opens.
We'll talk about the Disney Plus service too because of another announcement that we've been seeing. But this is one thing that I like seeing when I see these releases and things like that. So Jon Favreau says, "We're having a great time working with this incredibly talented group and excited for everyone to see what we're up to." Now, it's a pretty stock statement. Right? It's something you always hear, right?
Right, of course.
But I just love hearing that we're having a great time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because if they're not having fun doing what they're doing, I'm sure that would come across in the final product. So, seeing as how they're enjoying it, that's a good thing for us.
Exactly. Like, we talk about this all the time. The big thing about Star Wars is fun, right? Like,
absolutely.
So if the cast and crew isn't having fun, I don't feel like we're going to have any fun.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's encouraging to hear. I think pretty much everybody speculated too, from when all these cast members were rumored to be in the cast, that like Pedro Pascal was going to be playing the part of the Mandalorian, and we got confirmation of that now. We really don't have much beyond that as far as how the cast is going to play into the characters and stuff, but it's seeing as how what we had before was right on as it is. Got a feeling anything we do here might be, pretty accurate, because I also have a feeling, this is going to be a show, right? Television series, quote unquote. But I don't think that they could possibly keep as tight of controls on leaked info as they do for the films,
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people in and out of there over a course of a long period of time, so that'd be a little tougher, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got to say hats off to everybody that's reporting these casting rumors on this one.
Right.
Because they're not just feeding us a bunch of crap. Everybody's putting their time in, and they're getting good info.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's good. It's fun because we're not getting bogged down by talking about a bunch of stuff that's just not happening.
Right. Now, granted, it's always fun to speculate, and some of your speculations just never come to pass, but
right.
Well,
I put speculation in a different category than saying, "Oh, this person's in it." Or this
sure. Yeah, I get it.
What's fun is, hearing those rumors and then speculating on what they might do in it.
Yes.
What with their acting history, what are they bringing to the table? That's fun.
Yep, totally.
And what's kind of a downer sometimes is when you spend so much time talking about that and it just doesn't happen.
Right.
Because now we can just really get it going. Speculating on what, like Carl Weathers we talked extensively about.
Right. And, I think next for us will be, maybe there's some like set photos leaked or put out as a promotion and stuff. Like the one picture of the Mandalorian. Maybe we'll start to see more of the cast and kind of get a better idea of how they might play into the show. And that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, now we actually know who's walking around in that armor.
Right. Exactly.
Which I'm sure we're going to see more in the near future. I mean, I'm sure we're not that far out from a little teaser.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Especially with what I would consider just the big cast announcement. The next thing would probably be some sort of teaser.
Could be. It's
probably at Celebration.
It's an interesting thought. Yeah. There's a lot of speculation on when we might see the episode 9 teaser. If it's going to be a Christmas gift, or if it's going to be Super Bowl, or if it's going to be, I think they're talking full trailer at Celebration for Ep 9, but who knows? Maybe we'll see the Mandalorian teaser first.
Now, did we see anything The Last Jedi before Celebration? I don't think so.
That was, wasn't that the, I don't know. I was thinking Super Bowl, but that was Solo, right?
No, that was, Force Awakens.
Yeah, but then there was another.
There was, I think you're mixing that up with the next full Last Jedi trailer we got, I believe, was at the World Series.
I don't know. We'd have to look back at that, but who knows? I mean,
because I remember the Celebration trailer was like, it was a long time before we saw anything else, and I'm pretty sure that was the World Series one, which would have been in October.
Right.
So you're talking 6 months.
Well, who knows? We'll have to wait and find out, but I can't.
Or maybe it was Solo at the World. I don't know.
I'm excited. See, we're confusing ourselves here.
Oh, no, it definitely wasn't Solo, because Solo's trailer didn't come out before The Last Jedi. That was after The Last Jedi.
Right.
So, that was the Super Bowl one, wasn't it?
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, because February and then so 3 months before.
Right.
Either way, doesn't matter now, right? I would anticipate episode 9. We're not seeing anything till Celebration. I feel like they'll save that for their big stage, especially given the way tickets are selling for that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Celebration's almost all the way sold out, and the only thing they've announced so far is authors.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. They're gonna have to. Of course, they're gonna have stuff to fill the slots, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see and hear about it all. That's for sure.
Right. All right. So remember that lightsaber we've talked about the last couple weeks?
Yeah.
And last week we talked about, wow, it's really odd that Mark Hamill's making a comment about its authenticity.
Right.
Well, apparently there is some question about its authenticity because the auction's been pulled.
Interesting. Yes, what do they call this? Conflicting information?
Yeah. So they're saying they're pulling it until Roger Christian can clear up the inconsistencies that have been brought to their attention.
Well, I guess Mark seemed to think that there was some issues there. I guess if anybody other than Roger Christian would know, it would be Mark, because he was holding the darn thing, right?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. So, there's also a mention of, what was it? Bloggers questioning its authenticity. So, I'm not sure, how that works as far as, verifying all that goes, but,
bloggers, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm trying to
see a couple photographs, and it's like, that's not Mark, that's not Luke Skywalker's lightsaber.
And that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's like, here you got a guy, you made it, saying, "Yep, that's one of them," and it's like, he should know. I don't know. It's just kind of strange. But I guess if you're the auction house, if there's any discrepant information, you might have second thoughts about it.
Well, I guess, if anyone's going to notice something's amiss, it's probably Star Wars fans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. We have a tendency to, dig way deep down in the weeds here, and
I think overanalyze was what you were going for.
Sure. Very detail oriented. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's who knows? If someone's trying to pass off a fake here, that's just wrong.
Right. Yeah, agreed. Especially when you're talking about a price tag of $200,000 expected. Yeah, that's a bit. That's a lot to shell out for something that might not be legit.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a little too much.
Yeah.
So, well, we will continue to monitor this.
Definitely.
So, all right. Well, Mark Hamill, he's the one raising questions about that, but he's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And a little less going on than we had initially thought. He's yet to really film his parts in episode 9.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. For as long as shooting's been going on for episode 9. I was under the impression that he might have been hard at work at it, but according to him, he says he's still... Here's a quote. "I still have to go over and do episode 9. Most of the parts I have coming up besides Star Wars are voiceover. There's one big one, very high profile, I can't announce now, but I'm really excited about."
Joker.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So, I don't know. He's talking most of his filming is yet to be done. How much has he got done already? That's a question. Last week we had Kevin Smith on Good Morning America talking about, seeing somebody do a career best performance that made him cry. He rolled a tear, he said. I think a lot of people assumed that he was watching Mark Hamill. I know that thought crossed my mind, but apparently no. So
yeah, it's funny that he's not filming yet, and I wonder if that speaks to his level of involvement in the film.
That's another concern, I would think, is if he hasn't been involved that much yet, and they're he has yet to do his part. Just how much is he going to be in it? I know as a Force ghost or whatever his part is going to be, it's probably going to be more limited than it was in The Last Jedi, but I don't know. I would still like for it to be pretty significant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. With how jam-packed this film is seeming, I don't know how significant that's going to be.
Yeah. I think once we started hearing all the casting announcements for episode 9, we were starting to wonder that right off the bat. It's like, wow, there's going to be a lot of people in this, and how much time can you give to each character?
I mean, so I don't think Luke Skywalker needs that much screen time in this film to be significant.
Okay.
Just, I don't know. The focus is on Rey.
Yeah, of course. This film is being touted as the end of the Skywalker series. So I, for one, would love to see Luke Skywalker play a very significant part in that. That's all.
Yeah, because otherwise, The Last Jedi was the end of the Skywalker story.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have Leia, and though she doesn't carry the Skywalker name, she's still a Skywalker.
Right. And okay, so is Ben Solo, right? He's got that Skywalker blood, but
yeah,
I don't know. For me, Luke Skywalker needs to be a significant part of this, unless I don't know, they have a different plan and they have a good way to execute it. But
yeah, I mean,
but
we
for
still
me,
got 2 months of filming though. So
sure, and that's the thing. You talk about they've been filming since July, and they're going to go till February. That's a long time to shoot a movie, and let's hope it means that we're in for a really good story, I guess, right? Sounds to me like there's going to be a lot going on.
That's the part to me. Like, if I'm going to be concerned about anything, it's how much they're jamming this movie full of stuff.
Right.
It's not going to be like, oh, well, Mark's only going to be on set for a month,
Right.
I mean, you can do a lot in a month.
Yeah, totally. And like we said before,
since most movies film in what, 2-3 months,
right?
So
I think we've said it before, though. This one, I think we'd all be totally cool with it being, the longest Star Wars movie ever, or 2 parts, or 9 and 10, or whatever. However you want to break that down.
Well, I still think it's done in this film. I think if they were going to break it up, they would have said so by now.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I would also, I think they might reserve that for once they get into editing, possibly anyway. Of course, I'm not in the movie making business, and I really don't know what I'm talking about, so.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think at this point they know what they've got. I don't think they would withhold that per se, just for pure marketing,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it would definitely hype everybody up if they were already, if they knew this was going to be so big that it had to go into 2 parts or 2 films or whatever. I think that would hype it up so much if they were to announce that.
Yeah.
So I don't see them withholding that information. I think episode 9 is going to be 1 film, but it's going to be damn near a 3-hour film, if not a 3-hour film.
Which I'm totally good with. I mean, as far as
Well,
I'm
yeah, I mean,
concerned,
if it's going to be the epic conclusion,
right. Yeah, take your time, tell all of the story. All of the story.
hell, make it 4 hours. Give me an intermission. I don't care.
Right.
I don't know. One other thing they talked about, though, is Mark talks about what he has to go through in order to look at like revisions and things like that.
Oh, yes.
He says they're going to fly the rewrites over with somebody from the company. They're going to come, give it to me, and wait for me to read it before I give it back. So no pressure.
Yeah.
You can't even keep it overnight. But that's the way it is now. That's how under lock and key this stuff is.
It's funny because I think back to The Force Awakens, right? With Rey and BB-8. Classified. Yeah, me too. Big secret. It's like, yeah, this movie's a big secret.
Well, yeah, it reminds me of, everybody thinking that, Obi-Wan's who killed Luke's father.
Right.
And that's the whole story. And then at the last minute, they tell Mark, like, no, Vader is your father.
Right.
So no one else knew but Mark.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is that kind of level of secrecy.
Yeah. Well, I got a feeling.
In fact, it's actually that level of secrecy turned up to 11.
Right. I got a feeling we're going to be hit with some sort of big reveal, and possibly through Luke, that, it's just going to blow us all away. And I think that's the sort of thing right there that they're talking about that, they got to keep under wraps.
Yeah.
At least I'm hoping for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this whole story has been about Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker.
Right.
So for Luke not to be a big part of this would absolutely be kind of a letdown. Just because this is the Skywalker saga.
Right. Totally.
This is who it's been about. So Luke, Leia, and now Ben, that's what we're expecting going into this. Focus on them.
Right.
Obviously, there's going to be a lot of focus on Rey because Rey is the new blood.
Of course. Yeah, totally. I still hope for Rey's story to continue on past episode 9. That's what I would like to see.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no sweat. And then, this, I would like for episode 9 to be the quote-unquote end of the Skywalker saga, but then we carry on with the next generation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, this would almost be the dawn of Rey's story.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Rey's story has just begun.
Right.
I mean, that's really the hope anyway, right? You don't want to see Rey's story wrapped up right now.
Exactly. When you think about it, even with the time jump that we're going to have going into episode 9 from episode 8, episodes 7 and 8 were like bang bang, you know, as far as the time frame goes. So her story is still right at the beginning as far as what we've seen. That's
right.
You know, and that's traditionally in Star Wars, these stories have carried out over a longer period of time in the universe, you know.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's actually a little more concerning to me than anything else, because you've set this pace, right?
Right.
And the pace is 7 goes right into 8.
Right.
And now you're going to have a year or so gap
right
between 8 and 9. I hope that doesn't disrupt the flow.
Well, in my mind, the flow has been disrupted. we've always had these time gaps in the past.
Right.
And
but you know what I mean? I'm talking about this portion of the saga away from everything else, you know?
Right.
We went from episode 7. So let's put it this way. If you sit down to binge the sequel trilogy, you're going to watch essentially a, 5-hour movie.
Right.
And then you're going to get to the next movie.
Right.
So that to me is, I hope that's not a disruption. You know what I mean? When you piece it all together and you watch it as one.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Because we've all done that.
Yeah, and I think, we've all done that with 7 and 8 so far. Right? And you're right. It's kind of like...
It's almost like one movie.
Yeah, it's almost like one movie. Yeah, because of the way it picks right up. That's for sure.
Now, like, the difference would be the obvious writing differences between the two movies.
Yes.
But time-wise, like, you stop one, you pick up the next. It's like one continuous film. Almost.
Absolutely. Right. Really, episode 8 doesn't necessarily have all of the setup that the other sequels had. You know what I'm saying? Like episode 2 and 3 and episode 5 and 6. There's always that at the beginning we're going to catch you up and get you up to speed with where we're at, and they do that very efficiently, and there you are. Okay, it's been a little while now, and here we are, and this is where we're going in the story.
Right.
That was just like, you blink, and here we are again. Right where we left off. So, I don't know.
Yeah, because once you get to the Rey and Luke part of that film,
yep,
it's almost like, well, why the hell do you even need a crawl?
Exactly.
It's like, you could have just put episode 7 in the crawl. Like, you could just summarize that film, and here we are.
Yeah, in a sense, you're right. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but you're right. It almost makes the crawl irrelevant. And
I mean, we're talking about a year gap here. We're going to go into episode 9 looking at the crawl in a different way than we did.
It's going to be necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to intently read that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action.
But if social media is a little more to your liking, at The Wars and More on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/The Wars and More. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so this doesn't come as any surprise. This is more like a duh segment.
I like that.
John Williams and John Powell have both been nominated for Grammys.
Yes. You're right.
So John,
this is kind of the duh segment.
John Williams, of course, has been nominated for The Last Jedi. And then John Williams and John Powell collaboratively for Mind Mission in Solo.
Right. So that's pretty cool. I think they're obviously, we might be biased, but well deserving as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, I mean, this is I don't think it would be the Grammys if John Williams wasn't nominated for something.
Right.
It just seems like every year it's something.
Oh yeah.
Whether it be Harry Potter or Star Wars or any number of the absolute smash hit sound or movie scores that he's done.
Yeah, totally. So I'd love to see John Williams win, obviously. I will say in the category that The Last Jedi's in here, there's another familiar name. It's Michael Giacchino.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, for Coco. So, don't know if you've seen that film. It's a neat film. It's cool.
Oh,
my kids
so
love that
This
one.
is a tough one. It's like I almost would like to see him get his recognition,
Right?
Yes, he's a Star Wars composer now too.
Oh yeah.
And another one of those that doesn't seem like he's going anywhere because he's got work forthcoming in Galaxy's Edge.
Right. Yeah, totally. I have a feeling that, much like John Williams was the guy, I shouldn't say was, he is the guy for Star Wars films. Once he's done with Episode 9, I got a feeling that what we're going to see is it's going to be a very elite group to be scoring for Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think so. After John Williams makes his exit, I don't think you're going to see any one composer ever again for Star Wars.
Right. I agree. But like I said, I think it's going to be an elite group. There's probably going to be 2 or 3 composers that you can pretty much count on scoring for the films. That's just my thought. I mean, because much like a director or a writer, you have to have somebody who gets Star Wars composing for Star Wars, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
So, real quick, since I'm bringing up the competition, I do want to make mention. This is like, these are 2 categories here, and their competition in these categories. There's some heavy hitters, right? So, John Williams is up against Alexander Desplat, Michael Giacchino, like I said, Benjamin Wallfish and Hans Zimmer, and Ludwig Göransson, and the Mind Mission track is against Alan Silvestri.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
For what?
Infinity War.
Okay.
Jeremy Kittle and Terrence Blanchard. So, this is I'm talking about elite composers.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some elite composers here.
Yeah. Well, Alan Silvestri is another one of my favorites. Like,
Oh, totally.
I was completely. Here we go again. I'm going to make mention of this. I was completely blown away by his work in Ready Player One.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. I don't know. Well, that's a conversation for another day, which we will get to soon. Hint, hint. But but yes, I totally agree with you. There's a lot of stuff in there that he did intentionally that if you're not paying attention, you might miss. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan Silvestri is one of those composers that's much like John Williams. Just good.
Right, totally.
One thing, so we're talking about the nominations and the Grammys.
Right.
The other thing we should talk about is that Solo, the soundtrack for Solo, was disqualified from the Oscars.
Yes. This is disappointing to say the least.
So what? It was a submission window that was missed, right?
Yeah. So I'm reading off of the article on Fantatracks here. It says Solo Star Wars story composed by John Powell with themes by John Williams was nixed by the board as having been entered too late for the competition. Deadline was November 15th. So like, what? I mean, that came out in May. If the deadline was November 15th, I think somebody just dropped the ball. I don't know.
So I got to say, that's one thing I don't like about this whole process. Like, okay, so it was released. It's out in the public.
Right.
You have to physically submit it.
Well, I'm sure. I don't know how all this works, but I guess to be considered, I think if I don't know, if you feel like you've got a contender, I don't know, because they have like they said on there, a board, and then they have the Academy, right, that votes on it. So I don't know the nuances of how it all works, but I imagine they have to have some sort of I don't know, some sort of way to narrow it all down, because it's not like, okay, go watch every movie and listen to the soundtracks of every movie that's been released this year, right?
I understand what you're saying there, but when you're talking about something that's so far into the mainstream, it's not like everybody missed Solo coming out. You know what I mean? Like it's strange.
Right. It is strange. I'll say that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Who slept on that one? That's just.
Yeah, I got a feeling that somebody, they were probably regretting not getting that submitted at this point.
Right. Well, I guess it is what it is.
Right.
They would have got snubbed at the Oscars anyway.
Yeah. It tends to happen, doesn't it?
Maybe that's what they were thinking. It's like, they don't care anyway.
Yeah, these guys don't even like us anyway.
Right. Star Wars and the Oscars have a rocky history.
Right. Well, John Williams, he's done all right, but as far
He's
as
the only one.
I know, well, some of the visual effects guys and stuff too, but
sound design, things like that.
Yes,
but
yeah, it's never Best Picture, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's like, Star Wars made $1 billion. Yeah, we don't like it.
Exactly.
Yeah, Star Wars made $1 billion, but we didn't, so it loses.
Right.
All right. So, keeping with Solo, so Solo's coming to Netflix on January 9th. So, not all that surprising because the Disney Plus service is still a year out.
Right.
So, obviously, they're going to want to distribute this through whatever means they have at their disposal. Not surprising that Solo is going to come to Netflix. This is good.
Totally good.
I mean, this is going to be one of those things again where it's like I'm looking through my Netflix. It's like, oh, look, Star Wars.
Exactly.
It's sitting on the shelf 5 feet away, but
Yeah.
I'll watch it on Netflix, whatever.
Exactly. I just hope that being on Netflix, Solo has a chance to reach more of the fan base than it did when it was in theaters. How's that? It's
Or even what it's done so far in the home release.
Right.
We'd like to see, like, Star Wars fans need to not sleep on this film.
Right.
You need to see it.
Well,
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
hopefully the Netflix release will bolster the Blu-ray sales, right? I mean, if you see it after it's on Netflix and I don't think it would take much convincing at that point to have you think, wow, this was worth it. So
Maybe this should be in my collection.
exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be
Well,
nice
let's
to see
hope
that.
so.
Yeah, totally.
But we talk about the rough go Solo's had, right?
Yeah.
Well, Disney as a company is not having a rough go.
I would agree with that.
So far, and there's still a little time left in this year, but in the global box office for the calendar year of 2018, Walt Disney Studios has surpassed $7 billion.
Oh my. Okay. Yeah. I'd say that's doing pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely didn't spend $7 billion to make these films, so
Right.
so Disney's doing all right.
Yeah.
And that's good for Star Wars because as long as the company's doing good, more will come.
Absolutely.
But I mean, Disney does crank them out, so
Yeah. Well, it's not like, I don't know. I don't know how to say this right. Disney as like the umbrella for all these different franchises. I don't know. You have Lucasfilm, right? You have the MCU. And you have Disney proper doing their thing, and I don't know. It's not like a bunch of animators, sitting around at Disney anymore, like it used to be way back in the day. But there are lots of different divisions now, all under the Disney umbrella. So, it's a lot easier to crank them out, I guess, is what I'm getting at. I shouldn't say easy, but seeing as how Disney is the umbrella corporation for all these franchises, we're going to see a lot more with the Disney name attached. That's all.
right. But this is not surprising at all, though, because you look at the titles that Disney's put out this year.
Right?
With Infinity War, Black Panther, Incredibles 2, Solo, Ant-Man and Wasp, right?
Right.
So it really kind of flooding the market.
Yeah, I would say they control a very large portion of the market, and dominating the market.
Well, yeah, I mean it's good though because it's like GE, like jet engines have a down year. At least toasters are doing all right.
Right. Yeah, true. No, really, when you think about it, that's, from a business standpoint, that's what they're doing is diversifying for sure.
Yeah.
If, not to get too generic and broad in my statements here, but I mean, if princess movies aren't doing it right now for audiences, well, then superhero movies might, or, science fantasy movies are going to do it, That's, I'm sure, from a business standpoint, that's kind of how they're thinking.
Yeah.
And it just makes sense.
Now that you say that, that's really odd to me. Disney hasn't seemed to have done a princess movie lately.
Oh, as I understand it, there's going to be one coming out. I don't know when, but I think we're going to get another Frozen one soon. So.
Oh, that'll do well.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Sure. I'm sure my nieces will be excited about that.
Uh-huh. I'm sure there's going to be another hit song that everyone's going to be singing for about a year. And yeah.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's always good news to hear that the company as a whole is doing well, because that means content's coming.
Absolutely. For sure.
All right. So Family Guy. Family Guy did a little tribute to Carrie Fisher.
Okay.
Carrie Fisher voiced the character of Angela, Peter's boss.
Right.
And they had a little funeral for Angela that Peter eulogized. I'll tell you what, the whole thing, I was kind of like, everybody's like, oh, you got to see this tribute Family Guy did to Carrie Fisher, right? And I got to say, once they said, heaven gained a princess.
Yes.
I was like, okay, there it is. There's the tearjerker moment.
Yeah, totally.
Like, yeah, it's just...
Well, so for me, because I did see this, making the rounds, and so I watched the clip, right? And for me, I got to be honest with you, I did not realize that Carrie Fisher voiced that character.
Right.
So without that context, it didn't make as much sense for me until you actually informed me that that was the case. And then it all the pieces fell into place, and it was like, aha. But, it was done in typical Family Guy fashion. It was... I guess the punchline was Peter was at the wrong funeral, but
yeah. Let's be real here, though. This is the way Carrie would have wanted it.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Carrie was like the smart-ass extraordinaire, so...
Exactly.
So it was, once you put everything into context, it was actually very touching. And Seth MacFarlane, being a Star Wars fan like he is, it made sense for Family Guy to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So glad to see they did it. And like I said, when they said that about having gained a princess, I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Gonna make me cry. So, okay. So, John Boyega on Twitter, he shared a little behind the scenes, him shooting a scene for episode 9.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you what, I'm surprised he showed so much.
Okay.
He didn't show about anything at all.
Yeah, you had me a little confused there, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was a joke, Doug.
Right.
Joke.
Got it.
Yeah, he was just standing in front of a blue screen there.
Yep.
Turning in a circle.
Right. I thought I saw the wrong video for a minute.
Nope, you saw the right one.
Yeah, exactly.
But good to see their heart at work.
Yeah, totally.
I guess this is the most information we've got on episode 9. It's confirmed John Boyega's in the film.
Right. Yeah. Judging from the, the background and everything, we don't know what film, but yeah, that's We can only assume it's Star Wars, right?
He's just messing with us. That's from Pacific Rim.
Oh, I got it. The only thing I will say is it seemed like he was on some sort of a turntable or something, right? When he's filming, kind of spinning.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe this is going to be some sort of a shot where he's like, they're showing him surrounded or something. That's what I imagine anyway, from what I saw.
Yeah. Because I'm like, it doesn't seem realistic that he's like waiting for something to line up. Like he's on like a platform that's turning or something.
Right.
Like, nah, this is one of those shots where, you know, he looks real concerned and they show everything behind him.
Right.
So I don't know. That's the fun part about the just seeing them in front of a blue screen or whatever and letting the visual effects team take over.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have no idea what the hell they're doing.
It could be anything.
Yeah, well, it is cool to see pictures from the set, no matter how minuscule.
Oh yeah.
So we want to see more of this.
Yeah, totally.
But with something in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, give us something. Yeah.
All right. So Resistance. Of course, new episode means we talk about it.
Yep.
Talking about Station Theta Black. Or Black. Block.
Yeah.
I can read.
Yeah, this one gets into you know, a lot more of the spy aspect of this show. What it was you know, setting out to do for us, I guess, you know. Show us where the Resistance is in this part of the timeline.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a little surprised to see the Resistance engaging the First Order.
Okay, so
like the way they talk about it, you know, in this show so far.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just seemed weird.
So for me, I'm watching this episode and I'm thinking, so we had Oscar Isaac back, right? Reprising his role as Poe, and basically for the whole episode, which was nice. But I have to say, there's a little bit of me thinking, man, they are really playing up this trigger-happy flyboy side of Poe in this episode.
Oh, for sure.
And I didn't really get that much from like episode 7. So we didn't really see that side of Poe at all until episode 8, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know. Maybe just a little bit of a disconnect there, but they were playing that up quite a bit. He's, I don't know. It almost seems like he's willing or too willing to take risks to where he might.
Yeah, I think in episode 7, you just kind of got the idea that he's someone who ended up in those kinds of situations.
Right.
You know, doing a mission, he just, whether it be unfortunate or whatever, you didn't really get the idea that he was like reckless and putting himself in harm's way.
Right.
You got that in episode 8 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess he had to have a little bit of a reputation for them to just make that leap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. You know, I don't know. From episode 7, I had the impression that he was just like, you know, the best pilot, right? He is the guy. He's the best pilot the Resistance has. You know, he had a reputation for being an excellent pilot and that's why Leia recruited him. So, and that's pretty much what we got in episode 7. So, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, but in that same respect, you got to wonder why, when watching episode 7, you almost kind of wonder why Leia would send a pilot.
Right. Well,
to go retrieve this intel. So,
yeah, he's a little bit more than just a pilot, right? But, I don't know. For me, in this episode, they were just kind of really playing up that, he's a little bit reckless part, which it's okay. I guess it lines up with episode 8. And, that's cool. Now, Kaz, on the other hand, he doesn't know what the heck he's doing.
Yeah, I like that whole, because, missions with me just don't ever go as planned.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we got to get out of here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Poe hands him the blaster. He's like, oh, yeah, I've done this in simulations. I'm pretty good at it, too. Okay.
Yeah, that's a confidence booster.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I played laser tag once.
Right.
Really? You tell me this now?
Right.
But I did like the way he kind of said, what are you doing over there?
Right.
What's the New Republic doing? Simulations.
There were some cool things about this episode.
Well, yeah, we got Gwendolyn Christie back.
Yep, for sure.
So I really like that they're doing this with the crossovers. Bringing not really crossovers, but just bringing in the big screen actors.
Right. To
reprise their roles. It adds, I don't want to say credibility.
No, maybe authenticity or
it makes a better connection.
Yeah, absolutely. It grounds this show deep into the canon of Star Wars,
Right. Yeah, and I know we keep saying this, but more and more every week we see this show pick up in pace.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you one thing. I wonder what they're going to think when he returns with the fireball all fixed up.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. They didn't cover it in this episode, but I have a feeling next episode that's what we're going to see. And you get the resistance mechanics working on it. I'm sure it's going to be good to go.
Like wait, dude, you're broke.
Yeah. How'd you
get these stabilizers?
Yeah. Now, speaking of Kaz and his piloting skills, I did think it was pretty. So when when they blow up the base and he's trying to outrun the fireball, he pulls a Han Solo maneuver and ducks behind the asteroid for cover, which I liken to the maneuver Han pulled on the Star Destroyer in episode 5, where he latches on the Star Destroyer and they have no idea where he's at.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely dug that, and it was something that gave Poe something to go, hey, I like that.
Right, yeah. He actually impressed Poe a little bit, which I'm sure is probably pretty hard to do.
Right.
Poe's good and Poe knows it. That's.
I like the comment and reaction, though. He's like, you're smarter than you look.
Yeah, I know. That was funny.
And even BB-8, too, because he's like, wait, you agree with Kaz?
Oh, yeah.
and Kaz says, well, he knows that a plan that I'm involved in doesn't go as planned.
Right.
So, and what at the end, he says something about he deserves a little credit or whatever.
Oh yeah. I forget exactly what he says. Something like, I'm right every once in a while or something like that. And
Yeah, I know it's not that often,
yeah,
but give me
yeah,
this one.
exactly. It's pretty good. I liked it.
I do like that they're giving BB-8 a little bit of that, like, sarcastic. He's kind of like Poe.
Right. Yeah. Even a little reminiscent of
R2.
R2, yeah. I would say probably more prequel R2, really, with some of his interactions with Anakin. But, yeah, definitely cool.
Yeah, there was definitely, like, once again, we got more of the fighters and the ships. And those moments, I'll keep saying it. That's when this show's at its best.
Absolutely. I got to say, visually, those ships in space are stunning. They look awesome. And, yeah. Oh, another thing I have to bring up is Major Von Reg. He's got the red ship. He's got the red suit. Thus far, I'm not that impressed. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got mixed feelings there because he kind of got pulled off of this one.
Sure.
And he was pretty much succeeding.
Oh, he was, they were chasing Poe and Kaz down, but I don't know. I think eventually Poe would have, squirmed his way out of this one. Even if, they kept pursuit on and Kaz didn't make it out, Poe would be okay.
Right. So there's one other thing of note here. So Leia.
Ah, yes.
Leia made her appearance in this episode.
Correct.
Recast.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
So our point here is, we've said before, be careful what you do on social media.
Right. Yes.
Because it can quite literally cost you your job.
Right.
Making fun of people in any in any sense is bad form.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
There's and I got to be careful the way I say this, but there's a venue for making fun of things in the real world, right? It's called comedy.
Right.
Right. And just doing it in a mean-spirited way, that's bad form.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't think there was necessarily any reference to this as far as the recasting goes, right? But
we all got an idea.
We all got an idea, exactly. So that being said, we got to hear the tiniest snippet of Leia in the extended trailer for Resistance from when it was first starting to air. And from what I heard of that, I would say I probably preferred the original actress's voice, but
agreed.
The recast, it was done quite well. So, kudos there. Good job.
Yes, on short notice.
Yeah, for sure.
So but like we said, social media is not it's not a do whatever the hell you want
right
place,
Exactly.
There's repercussions.
Yeah.
And you got to consider that.
For sure.
So no matter how you feel about whatever, in the end, it's not worth it.
Right.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah,
so,
totally. But I like overall, I like where Resistance is going, and
yeah,
keep
it's
it up.
definitely picking up.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's it's very promising, and more ships,
Yes.
more
Okay.
flying. This is like I said, I keep harping on it, but
But it's true. It
I'm
is true.
doing it because it's true. It's just
Yes.
so good when they're in the air.
Yep.
The animation style just plays to that so well.
Yeah, totally.
So and I know I keep comparing it, but that's why Robotech was so good.
Right?
So yeah, more ships. Keep that going. I want to see more races.
Yeah.
You know, we got the idea that there was all this racing stuff going on, and we've only seen a couple races.
Yeah, exactly. I know you don't want to overdo it, but yeah, some more of that would be good.
It's
For
like
sure.
a big thing on that platform. I mean, overdoing it or not, like that's the big thing there.
Right.
So you can do a lot without overdoing it.
That's true.
So more races, more flying. Let's do it.
Right on.
So, all right. So if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're on Twitter @thewarsandmore on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. Of course, you can find all of that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We'll talk next week.